Hey mamas, this is Playfully Faithful Parenting, and I'm your host, Joy Whining. I'm a seminary grad and children's and family minister turned stay-at-home mom to my 5 girls. Spiritual parenting is my calling, and it's my passion to help other mamas disciple their kids using the power of play and their own authentic daily walk with Christ. If you're a mama who wants to introduce your kids to Jesus and watch as the Holy Spirit transforms their lives, this is the place for you. I'm so glad you're here. So let's dive in and see how we can partner with God today. Hello, mamas, and welcome to Playfully Faithful Parenting. I'm your host, Joy, and I'm so grateful that you are here today with me, and we are going to talk about whining. I don't know anybody who loves whining. I don't even think that the kids who do it love whining. But if we're honest, we probably still do it at times. And maybe not as often as our kids, but I'm going to guess that there is still a time or two where you have whined recently. So I want to talk, what do we do? What do we do it? If we're not threatening our kids, we're not yelling at our kids, we're not punishing our kids, we're trying to connect with them, we're trying to be playful, we're trying to understand them. What do we do with whining, right? It's a tough one because I think that in a lot of moms, we can struggle with sensory overload, and it can look from the outside like overwhelm, but it is really just it's not us being stressed, it's our nervous system being overwhelmed. And so I know that happens to me. And when that happens to me, the whining is especially a trigger for me. And so, like we have talked about in the Connected Families episodes, what we do is we're going to start with ourselves. So when we want to have a big response to whining, is that because we're trying to scare our kids into obedience? Or are we really overloaded sensory-wise? Do we feel stressed? Are there other things going on? Is it just the sound is hurting our nerves? Is it that we don't want to answer the same question 10 million times? What is going on with me? So that's where we can start with whining. And then once we know we are in a good place, once we know that we are coming at helping our kids with whining for pure motives, then we can look at what is going on with my child. But we can't start there because we have our own baggage. We have our own thing. And we need to give ourselves the freedom to take a breath, say a prayer, and shake it off. And if you need to do that to a song, then do it. We're going to talk about, in a few episodes, not next week, but in a few episodes, do I need to discipline my kids right away? And so that's coming up next month, and we're going to talk more about that. But just a little preview is when you're feeling stressed by whining, or you feel like you want to explode at your child's whining, it is okay to take a beat. You can pause. You can walk away, and you can take a breath, say a prayer, and shake it off. For me, a moment of micro play, which is that short 30 seconds to 5 minutes of play, helps me to get back to a place where I am in control and I am able to respond instead of react. So my micro play is sometimes it's a song, sometimes it's going to pray, sometimes it's going to play a quick round of Candy Crush just to have something in my control, right? When I feel out of control. And all of those things are okay. Maybe for you, you want to go run the stairs. Maybe for you, you want to put some lotion on or do a few jumping jacks or push-ups or something like that if you are a kinesthete. Whatever your mode of getting back to a balanced place, to a place where you are in control and your emotions are not. That is what we can do and what we need to do before addressing our children about whining. Okay? So that's our starting place. What is going on with me? How can I get myself under control so that as I am bringing my child out of a place of possible sin, I don't sin in that moment? That comes to us from Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. It says, "My friends, if anyone is detected in a transgression, you who have received the Spirit should restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. Take care that you yourselves are not tempted." All right. So we need to address ourself and our actions first. Then once we have done that, then we can address the whining, right? And so whining most often is caused by a fear or an anxiety. Now that doesn't mean that it is a rational fear or an anxiety, but it is real. It is real to your child. And so we can help our child learn what is going on in them, in their feelings, and help them to express that in more appropriate and more helpful ways, helpful for them and helpful for us. This morning, my kids ate first, and then my husband was eating his breakfast. One of my girls wanted some cinnamon toast, but we said, you have already had breakfast. You need to wait until we've had our breakfast, and then you may have some cinnamon toast. Well, that was not okay with her at that moment because she was afraid that we would forget, that she would not get that cinnamon toast. And so she was whining and she had a little tantrum. And it was because she was afraid she was not going to get what she wanted, what she needed, what she was hungry. Her body was telling her she needed to eat and wanted to eat something else. Now, she had breakfast. This was more of a want. It was not she was, her blood sugar was low, any kind of physical thing. It was an emotional need for cinnamon toast. She wanted the cinnamon toast. And so we told her, you need to wait. Our family rule is if you've had breakfast, then you wait until everybody else has had breakfast before you get to have something else. And so I was able to sit with her, and while my husband ate, sit with her and let her feel heard. We made up a silly song about her wanting cinnamon toast. We played a silly question game, and I said, "Oh, do you want avocado toast? Oh, do you want banana toast? Oh, you want cinnamon toast?" And we made it playful. So she knew her needs were going to be met. She knew we weren't going to forget her. She knew that we had heard her. And then when my husband finished his breakfast, he made her the cinnamon toast. And so It was about her being scared she wasn't going to get it, that it was not important to us that she wanted cinnamon toast. And so we addressed that, and it stopped and it went away, and she was able to be patient by the end, and we were laughing and we were connecting, and it was really beautiful. Whenever I think about whining, and maybe you do too, I think about the Israelites in the desert. They're whining about the manna. And they're complaining, and they're like, oh, manna, manna, manna. All we eat is manna. And I wonder, and this is just some ponderings, ponder with me here, if God was not as upset about the tone of the Israelites, but that it was more about the lack of trust that he would continue to provide for them and the lack of gratitude. And so often we as parents feel that same way. You know, in 1 Samuel 16:7, the Bible tells us that God doesn't look at us the same way we look at each other. He doesn't see the outside. He looks at the heart. And so he was frustrated at the heart of the Israelites, the fear and anxiety when God tells us over and over to not be afraid. And that is what was happening with those Israelites in the desert. They were afraid. They were probably bored of eating manna too. I mean, I can get that. I don't like to eat the same thing every day. I'm not one of those people who can, eat the same meal 4 times in a row. But it was not, I don't think that when God asks us not to complain, like in Philippians 2:14, to do everything without grumbling or complaining, I don't think that it is about the tone. Where sometimes for me, the whining is really just about the tone. And I really just want them to ask in a nicer tone because the tone is annoying to my ears. But God looks beyond that. God looks at the heart. He sees the fear and anxiety that is accompanied, that is being hidden by the whining. And so if we can be a little bit more like God and look beyond the tone and look at what is our child really trying to communicate and address that and give them opportunities to learn to express those fears and anxieties in a healthier way, then I think we can move the dial on our kids' whining. One of my clients had a very whiny son. And as we talked about her son and the whining, we talked about what connected families cause the gifts gone awry. And now this is God-given gifts that have gone awry, as the name leads us to believe, that are not being used in the way that God created them to be used. And so if we as parents can look beyond the tone and to see the real fear and anxiety, what are they really trying to communicate? And then also notice, is this a gift of perception? Is this a gift of perseverance? Is our child in tune with our emotions? And so they know how to talk to us to be able to get what they want. And I'm not meaning that to sound like our kids are purposefully manipulating us. But there are some people who are naturally gifted and have an insight into understanding other people's feelings and speaking to them in a way that acknowledges what's going on with them and how to move the dial, right? And so until we give our kids the tools to use that in a way that blesses others and glorifies God, those gifts can be used poorly. And so this coaching client, we started talking about these gifts gone awry. And then I asked her, I said, is your son perceptive about feelings and about what's going on in other people? And she was like, yes. I said, I think that the whining is a part of that. It is his gift gone awry, one of his gifts gone awry. And if you can begin to address it and notice it in a way that there's hope for using this gift in this beautiful way to help others and glorify God, then I think you've got a leg up on this whining thing. And she was just so blown away that I was able, without having met her son, but once for 5 minutes, that I was able to help her to see that about her son. Now, lots of credit to the Holy Spirit, right? He is working overtime, I feel like, when I'm with clients. But it also is this wonderful material from Connected Families. And a lot of today's material comes from Connected Families framework. And right now they have registration open for their Discipline That Connects online course. It only opens, I think, twice a year. And so it's open right now. And there's a link in the show notes. And this course is amazing. And so you're definitely going to want to check out the course through the link and check it out. It is so good. And like I said, it's only offered twice a year. Then when you've done with that, we can do parent coaching to take it a little bit further and help personalize it to your family, right? And it is amazing. I'm telling you, Connected Families has changed me. God has used it in mighty ways in my life, my family's life, and in so many other families that you have to go. Not have to. You really, and I don't like the word should either. You really want to go look at this link and check out this course and register for this fall and take the course. So the link is in the show notes. Go do that. I will also have the link in my stories on Instagram at Created to Play. So please, it will change your life. So just kind of a overview of what do we do with whining. First, what is going on in me? Why am I reacting instead of responding? What do I need to do to get myself into a place where I can respond instead of react? And for me personally, take a breath, say a prayer, and shake it off to a song. That helps me. Then we can look at our child. What are they really trying to communicate? Is there a fear or anxiety underneath? Let's model God to our kids, where he looks beyond the outward and looks at what's in the heart and figure out what is going on in the heart of my child and what tools do they need to express it in a more beneficial and helpful way. And then compassion, so much compassion. Let's help our kids to understand what their body is feeling and how to express it well. So in the links, I'm also going to put a whining success story from a family who used the Connected Families resources of coaching specifically. And it helped this mom to work through her son's whining. And it is not an overnight fix. I'm not going to tell you that it is. It will take time. But you, mama, as you look beyond the outward expressions of your child and you look at their heart, you will be discipling your child through discipline. You will be modeling the unconditional love of our God, and that can make an eternal impact. Mama, on behalf of God, thank you for loving and playing with his kids. Have a great week. Bye now.
Hi, my name's Tracy. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old little boy. And before I took the class with Joy, I struggled with getting frustrated with discipline. Like when he would act out, it would just make me insane. And I would yell, scream, empty threats, all the things. And then after taking the class with Joy, I really learned to listen deeper than the fit he was throwing. So yes, he's acting out about bedtime, but what's the deeper issue? And so it's really helped me because now instead of getting mad and overreacting and screaming, I calm myself down and I'm like, okay, what is it that is causing him to have this reaction? And I can't tell you what a change it's been in our house. It's just amazing. And I'm so grateful for this class and for Joy. Thank you.
Well, mamas, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me on Playfully Faithful Parenting. I'd love to keep the conversation going over on the socials. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you felt encouraged or equipped by today's show, do me a favor and leave a review. I can't wait to hear your story. Till next week, keep playing and pointing those littles to Christ.